Welcome back to Lost in Roshar, the ultimate journey through the Stormlight Archive. I'm Christian Kremling.
And I'm Jimmy Stormblessed, finally back on Lost in Roshar. It's been a long month away. Had some trips, had some obligations, got COVID, felt like I was going to die. But today, ladies and gentlemen, I'm back because we're talking about the prologue for Wind in Truth. Full spoilers for the released prologue for Wind in Truth. So if you do not want any information about Wind in Truth, I would suggest that you probably tune out of this one and come back after you've read it or whenever you get to these pre-release chapters. But Christian, I feel like I haven't got to ask you this in a while. How are you, my friend?
Mate, you've been through the ringer, and then there was me every weekend twiddling my thumbs, talking to the wall about Stormlight, as I do when you're not around. I just, go up to the nearest wall and think, well, yeah, how about Dalinar? What's he doing next book? So I've been slowly going mad, but you're back. No, it's been good. I've taken time to read outside of the genre. I've been talking to you about Lonesome Dove, which took over my life for the past 2 weeks, and it's like, oh man, guys, everyone should read Lonesome Dove. It's like one of the best books I've ever read. I've always been trying to start more fantasy, and I'm just like names, magic, rules. Oh, I'm tired, and I just pick up Lonesome Dove. We're just herding some cattle. I understand that.
Sometimes it's nice to take a break from a lot of capitalized words and just go read something that is tangible, a little bit more down to earth, and it makes you appreciate fantasy a little bit more. I would say I read a pretty good mix of stuff. I read a lot of lit fic, read a lot of sci-fi, obviously a lot of fantasy and manga, and I find that variety keeps all of those things fresh. So I'm glad to see you going out on your general fiction journey, talking to a wall. Were you trying to summon a spren?
I was just like, this wall looks like it's made out of stone. I reckon we've got a good chance here.
There's something going on in that stone, that's for sure.
Dude, can you believe it? We're here, man. We are at Wind and Truth. We're actually talking about this bloody book.
I am very excited. I have all the feelings about it. We should do our Sanderson update before we jump in. Also, why don't you explain to everyone how this episode is going to go? Because this is a jumbo special edition of Lost in Roshar.
If all goes well, yes, it will be. Episode 50, guys. I wanted to celebrate, and I'm going to do a double special. The prologue with Jimmy Boy right now, and then coming up right after, assuming Jake doesn't flake on me, Jake the Flake. No, he's always good. Jake's reliable. But as long as it all goes good, Jake and I will be talking about chapters 1 and 2. So, hey, man, 3 banger Wind and Truth chapters today, long episode. Oh man, it was Jake last time he was on the last episode. Did you hear our amazing discovery, dude? The dress discovery.
That the dress is different colors depending on your version, and that some people might think that this is someone met like one of the shards messing with. That's a very meta thing. But when I heard about that, I was like, I said, I hope it's true.
Oh man. Because the thing was, like, Jake and I thought we had it figured out, like, okay, US and UK, that's the difference. But then the comments, like, totally threw that out the window, and everyone's got a different color of Shallan's mum's dress in their book. And you know what? And we've warned about spoilers. So when we talk about this prologue today, he definitely changed big things about who we think Shallan's mum is in this prologue from the previous draft to this draft. So it stands to reason that he's really careful about how he describes this person. But we'll talk about that soon. Yeah. But hey, the Sanderson update. The Stormlight RPG has been upgraded to the Cosmere RPG. Whoa. Yeah. Classic Sanderson fashion. Always another secret, right? To be honest, I'm very intrigued by the RPG. I bought the figures and all that. I've never played D&D properly. Closest I got was Baldur's Gate, playing that. But it just seems like an expensive experience with a lot of stuff. And that's
how they get you, bro.
Yeah. And I just feel like I'm gonna, like, before I know it, I'm gonna be painting my little army and assembling the Kremling horde. And I'm just like, I don't know if I'm ready for that kind of rabbit hole.
You're gonna be busting out the yardstick, trying to measure your troops, make sure they're in proper, form.
I can't do it, man. But you know what's got me most excited is like there's a lore world guide book.
Ooh,
that I want.
I have that for a Song of Ice and Fire's RPG.
Okay,
and
cool.
It's one of my favorite. So actually, funny thing about the Song of Ice and Fire one, it has illustrations before the show came out ever. So you actually get to see what the characters would be like, without the show influencing it. Because now everything just looks like the TV show.
Yeah.
Fun fact: Arya Stark looks identical to Macy Williams.
No way.
It's actually crazy.
That's awesome.
And it was 100% done before she was ever even considered for the role. So kind of weird. So that lore book, because eventually there will be an adaptation for the series, could be. You'll look back and go, this was the pre-canon imagination, or imagine Dalinar or Navani or whoever.
Oh, man. They look the sneak peeks that have been shown so far look like next level incredible. It's insane how good the world of Roshar looks. No, I saw some comments somewhere. Someone said like, I wish the Parshendi looked a bit more alien, like less just humanoid. And maybe
I could see that. Yeah. I don't have a problem with how I've ever seen them displayed in art, but I could see the argument for wanting it to feel a little bit more alien.
Yeah, I get it, because like Roshar's a weird old place.
Yeah,
like let's lean into it and get real weird. But still, look, the art looks so good. So I'll be getting that. I don't know about the whole get up. I've never played I don't know anyone who I could be like,
here's what we do.
Boys, come over. It's time to run a campaign across Roshar.
We both get it. Yeah. We aim our webcams down at the board and we mirror the board, and then we play over.
Oh yeah, I
over
feel like
Discord.
People would probably want that for Lost in Roshar, like a Lost in Roshar campaign, like an RPG campaign. Someone's got to help me out there, because I don't know what the hell I'm doing. I don't know. I don't know. I remember just playing Baldur's Gate 3 and being like, why am I rolling a dice? Like, I want to choose what I do. So that's how out of this I am. I need to really understand what this is. But I think it's amazing. I think it's cool that the whole Cosmere is getting in, and go for it. Like, if you're gonna do it, go for it. I'm just a little intimidated by it, if I'm honest. I'm like, wow, it's a lot. But I just don't want to miss out on lore. I just want all the lore to still be available in the books. I don't want to have to get this, because they were saying there's like an exclusive story written by Brandon in the RPG. Now, I don't want to say too much because I didn't really read it, like the full article on that properly, so I don't want to get upset over nothing without knowing what it is. But my immediate thought was like, I don't want to spend like $400 just to read a short.
He'll probably release it on the website though, or something.
He's always good about that stuff, so I'm not too worried. But I just had that thought of like, I just want to have the series and it be really clean. You don't want it to get too messy, because already with the Cosmere, the people get freaked out sometimes.
Oh, I mean, I got some feelings about that today when we're talking about this prologue, because I kind of had this oh crap moment, and I'll tell you what, I'm not guaranteeing it'll happen, but I will most likely try to read The Lost Metal before this book comes out.
Yeah, I can definitely see why you would want to. And we'll look. So we're in Stormlight spoiler territory, but at some points, Jimmy and I are going to have to go into a few Cosmere things today, like this prologue. And I'm sure if you're here this far, you'll be okay. But as always, we timestamp it, so you'll be safe from any spoilers. Dude, so it's your first time reading it.
Yes, it's time. So to give everyone context, I mean, I'm sure a lot of you already know, because you guys are animals out there just eating up all the Stormlight stuff. But this prologue was read in 2022, and there have been a lot of changes between the two prologues, which Christian has went through the very, very hard task of going back and forth, very meticulous about it, which is awesome. But I think before we get into the semantics, we start talking about everything. I think it'd probably be a good idea to say how it feels. Like, first
reactions.
Off, never done a pre-release chapter for Stormlight ever.
Yeah,
I've never done it. I've never done it for a book, I don't think. So
Mm.
this is very new to me. I was excited about it because we have Lost in Roshar to talk about it on. I felt like it was appropriate. I'm thrilled. I'm thrilled with this. I love the prologue. There's always some writing stuff with Brandon that it isn't always to my taste, but just for the sole fact of like what's going on and being hyped, I'm at a 10 out of 10, bro.
Yeah.
I loved it. I thought it was amazing. I'm so excited, and I'm also just excited for these chapters as they release. Like, I feel like I was worried it would spoil the release of the book for me, because I like that, like, going in and getting the book the day it comes out. There won't be a midnight release for this, unfortunately, where I live. I wish there was. But I don't feel this way at all, especially since it's the biggest book he's ever written. It's like, yeah, we might get a nice chunk, a couple hundred pages, man. I don't know. But like, there's still going to be so much to read, dude. Yeah, there's so much to read. So like, I don't feel like I'm missing out on that at all. And I'm having this extra fun of getting to read all the way up into it. And I think I'll be well into the mood and into the groove by the time it comes out. So it just feels really cool to be in another Stormlight book. I remember the Rhythm of War release wasn't that long ago, but it feels like forever ago.
It does feel like so long ago, man.
Yeah.
And I was worried a bit. I'm like, oh, am I going to spoil the fun? Like reading these, but I'm loving, like, even though we haven't made our episode yet, I've been reading online and seeing what people are saying. I like the vibes. The vibes are good. We're all talking about it. We're all excited. And it's not like, it's not ruining it. And like you said, it's his longest book ever. Longest book of Brandon Sanderson, which is saying something, right? So like, we got a lot to read. Yeah. Yeah, we've got a lot to read. And look, if you guys want my initial reactions, there is a 2.5 hour stream still on my channel of when going through it for the first time and absolutely going mad over all the details. But look, I loved it just as much the second time. As Jimmy was saying, I had the old prologue up on the left side of my screen and the new one on the right, and I was going paragraph by paragraph like an absolute psycho, just to see what Sanderson was changing about it. The biggest, most obvious change you're all waiting for us to talk about when we will is the name drop of Vasher, which was not at all in the first version, which was extremely hype to see.
I was like, wait, what? I get that. That actually might be the number one thing outside of Stormfather for me in this prologue. I mean, do we need to summarize this? I feel like if people have, read it at this point, I mean,
I think we just let's just go through it like sequentially.
All right, great idea.
And
do you have it pulled up?
Yeah, I do. Yeah, okay. Should we go through should we just touch on the preface first, just to see what we're getting into here, like what Wind and Truth really is? Do you want to go through it?
Yeah.
Go on, Jimmy. You've got the commentator voice. Do you want to read it?
I do not have it open in a window currely.
Oh,
I gotta open it up. I am woefully unprepared, folks. This is no good.
He takes a month off, and we're still getting the right.
Well, it's not as easy to get to because actually, fun fact, I was reading the prologue and I realized about halfway through it that it was the one from 2022, and I had to go back and find it on Reactor, and I was like, gosh darn it! Like, all right, so here's the preface to Wind and Truth. Welcome to Wind and Truth, Book 5 of the Stormlight Archive. This is the midpoint in the series and the ending of the first major arc. As such, I have wrestled with this book more than most, giving it a great portion of my thoughts, passion, and effort over the last 4 years. This is, to date, the longest book I've ever written, and this is among the longest amounts of time I've ever spent on a book. Probably the longest if you don't count projects I set down and come back to years later. I hope you'll find the result worth the effort. Please sit back and enjoy the show. A high storm is brewing.
A storm for the ages, my dude.
Feels like it.
Oh, I can't, like, there's so much I want to talk about in this chapter. There's so much cool stuff happening. And the more I've read it, the more I've discovered with it. And my project years ago was to try and combine all these prologues into like one banger video. And I love how there's like little gaps for the other prologues. It's like, and then Esh and I arrived, ... and then Navani arrived, ...
Yeah,
go to that
true,
chapter.
actually.
You could go to that chapter, man. It would, like, someone's gonna do it and put all 5 prologues together. It'll be so cool. It'd be so sick.
It'll take like 3 hours to read them all.
Yeah. But hey, all right, dude. So let's start. So it starts off. This is how you start a freaking book 5 prologue. You start with Gavilar Colin in a vision with the Susfather slash Stormfaker slash definitely not the Stormfather, in my opinion. at the start of the prelude, the setting of the prelude, where the heralds have abandoned their blades. Like, and you didn't know anything about this, right? As of like yesterday, did you? Nothing.
No, I didn't have any context to this.
This would have been so hype. You must be like riding a high right now, having just read that.
Oh man, I think it was really interesting that at the end of this prologue, to jump to the end and the beginning, I have to
Yeah,
make
go
this
for it.
point.
Go for it.
At the end, Gavilar is stunned to find out that the Stormfather has lied to him.
Yes.
But this also starts out with talking about a lie, because he says they called it
Heratium or whatever.
Heratium.
Yeah.
He said, trailing around the blades, letting his hand linger on each one. When he became a herald, would his blade become like these, imbued with power and lore? The end of the world, was it a lie? Many who name it such believe what they said, Stormfather replied. And I wonder if this is Stormfather, if this is also the cipher for his lie, is that he believed what he was saying at the time. Maybe.
Oh, man.
I don't know. I just thought it was interesting.
Yeah.
We started with the lie and ended with the lie. And I feel like that's probably consequential in some way, shape, or form.
Yeah,
but I don't think this is Stormfather. So
yeah, Stormfaker, Susfather. There's been many names over the years. Because what's also interesting is the use of italics and then switching to the capitalized font at the end. That's another question you got to ask.
That was huge.
Yeah, that was huge. And I've looked at like how he appears and like cross-referencing descriptions, and some match and some don't. Like, as I read it last night again, I was like, it kind of feels almost like two people, because you still do get the classic Stormfather look when the eyes come up and the endless plains behind them. Like, that's very classic Stormfather vibes. But when he's just like a shimmering like heat wave, like human silhouette, that's a bit different. And I'm like, who's that? Because that's not any Stormfather I know. But we'll get to it. So he's at the Heratium, where all the heralds have left their blades, the opening scene of the prelude to the entire Stormlight Archive. And he's looking at the blades, and I didn't notice this on the first time. I noticed some stones, mate. Some stones are hanging out.
Excuse me?
There are some important stones hanging out here. It says, he rounded the ring of blades again, alone with them in the shadow of monolithic stones. And I'm immediately picturing something like Stonehenge or something. But my question is like, is there like a monolithic pillar or stone for each blade? Like, what does this exactly look like? Was something left behind by each herald? Like,
yeah,
I don't know. It feels a bit like a significant detail. I don't know.
It feels like a setting.
Yeah. It's like they didn't just put their blades anywhere.
Yeah.
They went to this place with the monolithic stones of old.
Is that how you get to braze?
Yeah, it feels like in Diablo when you teleport somewhere.
Portal, yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, just a little detail, tiny little detail there. But hey, you know what? We go to Chanarach's blade. And I want to, and this is the herald we think is Shallan's mum. And in my notes, I've got the two descriptions here. And you tell me if this is sus, dude. I reckon this is so sus.
Okay.
So in the first version, he goes, Chanarach was a soldier, I believe it. This is a soldier's blade, solid and straight, but with that little impossibility missing from the center. I should have liked to seen her in battle. Lore often claims she had flaming red hair. Is that true? And the new version, he says like, yep, soldier's blade, impossibility missing from the center. I feel like I know them each so well. They are my colleagues, yet I could not pick them out from a crowd. So completely cuts out the bit about her hair. And I'm like, this is Sando trying to make it less obvious.
What if, right? What if, though,
okay,
he decided to make it not Shallan's mom? all of a sudden.
Oh, come on.
You know what I mean? Like he's like, yeah, I'll just take it out. I don't like it.
Mate, okay. I'm sorry, but a herald dies in this chapter, and you do the math, and it's the same time that her mom dies. It's like the same time.
It's 100% her mom.
It's like, and you mentioned her at the start. I'm sorry, Sanderson. Like, we figured it out, and that's okay. We figured it out long ago. It's canon on this show, at least. It's canon, mate.
It's canon until the book comes out and proves us wrong.
Yeah, it totally proves us wrong in a couple of weeks. But look, we learn a lot about Gavilar here. Hey, man, he thinks he's got it all figured out, but he really doesn't.
Kind of a jerk.
A little bit. A little bit. Oh, I want them to think of me as ancient beyond their petty games. I'm going to grow my beard out, wear a crown, and look all regal. These stupid people won't get it. Oh, I just really...
Were you a little surprised by this? By the way, now I know you read the prologue 2 years ago, but you probably had a better idea who Gavilar was. But for me, all my Gavilar knowledge has been secondhand, not in his perspective. So getting his perspective for the first time, I'm not going to say I was let down by it by any means, but I was kind of hoping for a little bit more nuance. Like I kind of wanted to hold out hope for him, maybe a little bit. He does have moments with Navani towards the end of the prologue where he's like, maybe I should tell her. And you could tell that's the human part of him, but he's so lost in the sauce now.
Oh man.
That there's no coming back from it.
Yeah. I think we're also seeing, like, we're seeing him when he's like at his final straw. He's so far gone. It's all going, it's all falling down. So perhaps there was a bit of a, more balanced Gavilar, but right now we're seeing just the worst of him. But yeah, I don't know. It's been a while. So in my mind for ages, I've just been like, oh, Gavilar's just a selfish bastard. He really thinks he knows everything. It's like, dude, I'm on the copper mind. I know way more than you, mate. Like, you got nothing.
I'm on the copper mind. That's crazy.
You got nothing, bro. Another big change, right, from the previous version of the prologue to this version is the previous version. Stormfather's like, I'm looking for a person. I'm looking for the right person. Maybe it's you. Maybe it's someone else. But in this. Yeah, in this version, he's like, I need a champion. Will you be my champion? It's all about being a champion and the contest, like, everywhere in this new version, which I found interesting because I was surprised with you when we reread The Way of Kings that the contest of champions came up. I forgot that it was mentioned in The Way of Kings, but we're seeing it mentioned by whoever this bloke is 6 years preceding that. So who knows what this is about.
Yeah, this is that was one of the biggest surprises on the reread, and this is also fueling me as someone who wants to see Gavilar come back from breaths in a statue, the whole thing. So I'm just like, oh, okay, the champion, is here, and also just his relationship with Dalinar in this prologue.
Oh my god!
And the way that you can tell he does love Navani. By the way.
Yeah.
I think. Mm-hmm. And it would make a battle between Dalinar and Gavilar far more, because we already knew that they would probably fight over Navani, not over Navani, but it would be an added piece of the drama. This prologue would make it even more dramatic.
Mate, if the champions are Dalinar and Gavilar, that's hype as hell. That's like the Clegane Bowl of
I would need major props from the fandom at this point, because I've been saying that for a while now.
Oh, that would be amazing. Because I really am analyzing these chapters, thinking of like purely book structure and narrative structure. You want to set up a lot of things initially. Mm-hmm. So that's probably why in this final release, he's like, Contest of Champions needs to be at the forefront of this book, because that's what it's all about, right?
Yeah.
But then you're just like the undertone the whole time I'm talking about this is just thinking, who is this Stormfather? Like, who is this and what's going on?
Well, even to this point, right? There's something about this line that bothered me, and we went by it. Gavilar tosses the Herald's blade aside, letting it clang against the stone. Just saying, there's stone, which made the Stormfather hiss.
Yeah, that's not normal. For some reason, that's not normal.
This doesn't feel like Stormfather to me.
No, that's weird, man.
And there's also a thing later. I was going to wait till we get there. I'll just mention it now because it's a very small line. But it says like he thought he could hear the Stormfather crackling, and he put lightning. How cute, or something like that is the line. And I'm sitting there like, Gavilar is so cocky in this prologue and understands so little that it actually would be phenomenal writing if this is him just going, huh, Stormfather's crackling lightning, ha ha ha. When in reality, he's crackling because it's some off-planet force or
dude.
something.
It's look, it's definitely odd behavior for the Stormfather we know. The hissing, the crackling, because like the Stormfather, even to this day, even though every Spren has come pretty far from initially bonding their person, he's still pretty like alien or like non-human, not too concerned with the goings on of humans. So for him to hiss at a blade being thrown, the other thing I thought, because the Stormfather is like a memory or a cognitive shadow, to use the Cosmere term, of Tanavas, the guy who was Honor. So I wondered, like, maybe in this time when he was with Gavilar, there's a bit more of Tanavas in the Stormfather personality than just the full-on Stormfather. It kind of reminds me of in A Song of Ice and Fire when a warg dies and they go into their animal, and then the animal slowly takes over more and more over time. So it kind of felt like that. Maybe Tanavas is still there, and he's like, "Oh, dude, those are the Heralds." And then the Stormfather persona,
or similar to Rand, right?
Yeah, exactly.
The Dragon Reborn,
yeah. So it's probably that could be a bit of that at play. I'm open to that line of thinking too.
Fascinating.
But the fact that I don't think I should know this, but I'm almost certain we've never seen a vision of this exact moment with the nine blades before. I don't think Dalinar ever went there.
Not that I remember, but I don't remember a lot of Oathbringer and lore at this point. So
I feel like I basically lost my mind just with it opening at that scene, and that kind of, I'm going to trust my old self thinking that it's really crazy that we're here. Which also, there's a theory that the Stormfather here is a herald. Ishar, there's a theory that it's him, which kind of lines up because he does like get really upset with like Herald's perception and like get disrespect towards the Heralds, and
very obsessed with the Heralds as compared to the Stormfather that we know. From the main series. And even talks about like how you would never know the ailments that they go through from living such a long time periods. And it just felt very on the nose from Stormfather, because I think Gavilar's like, how long did it take? And he's like 1,000 to 2,000 years. And I was just like,
yeah, you're right.
Like Stormfather's been way more esoteric, I think, right? And nebulous in the main series.
Yeah, completely. It's always like, yes, time has passed.
I like this being a herald.
Yeah, it could be a herald. The other working theory is it's cultivation, meddling. The thing is, though, there's a part, we'll get to it, but there's a part where the Stormfather's like, the others, they can't know. They can't know about this. So the others could refer to other heralds or other shards being. I don't know, but we'll get there.
Well, what if cultivation wants a champion?
Yeah, I don't know.
Maybe he thinks he's going to be the champion for honor. He ends up cultivation's champion. We got triple threat, 3-way dance.
Cultivation's been a sleeper hit this whole series. Could be entering the chat at the end of this book, which I mean, show her off in the prologue. But I don't know, the way there is definitely a Stormfather moment with the eyes and the storm and the endless stars. Like that's the Stormfather. I don't know, man. There's no obvious answer even 2 years later, which is pretty great.
Yeah.
So look, okay, so they talk about the heralds and their insanity. Gavilar is still spitting bars, trying to guess the words. It's not going to work. He's quoting the Way of Kings. What a man.
Do you think this is a bit meta when he's like, is the answer in the Way of Kings? And then, Sanderson has said that, like, right? Sanderson has said there's a big piece of the ending in the Way of Kings,
true.
right?
Yeah, true.
Did you feel like that's a little meta?
Not until you said it, but I kind of
I caught it. I was like, oh.
I like the meta aspect of the in-world texts matching. That's really fun. And then who comes in next? Oh, Dalinar comes in next with plopping on that poor chair. Oh no, Gavilar's
that poor chair.
That poor chair. Dalinar's just been drinking with the Pasha, and he's like, why can't we just all get along?
It's so weird. He's like, I feel a kinship with them.
These are my people. Oh, dude, you know what? You know what made me really sad? Because we see Gavilar telling Dalinar to follow the codes just to poke him into remembering there's wine out tonight, that he shouldn't be drinking, but he knows it'll push him to drink more.
Yeah.
And how many freaking chapters did we read, man, where Dalinar's like, Gavilar told me to follow the codes. It's the last thing he said to me. And we know now it was just a move to get him out of there. It's pretty sad.
Yeah, it is sad. And this is where I was like, okay, I'm out on Gavilar.
Yeah.
He sucks.
You're so right that this does set up a Dalinar Gavilar champion fight. Really does, man.
Just saying.
Just with the mention of like, I need. And what it was? Okay, sorry, I know we're jumping around a bit, but I'm sure you guys don't mind too much. It's more I'm annoyed because the timestamps get more difficult when I do this. But every person who enters, well, every person. I mean, when Dalinar and Eshonai both are about to enter, Stormfather says about both of them, oh, there's something about that person that you don't see. They have potential.
Yes.
And I'm like, how do you know that? Like, how do you, Mr. Stormfather, know that, really? What abilities do you have to tell that about somebody? I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, maybe this is good evidence to say that this really is Stormfather.
I don't know, but has he ever passed judgment on people? Like, because the thing is, right, we see him really, get along with these two later in the series. Like, he obviously bonds with Dalinar, and then he takes Eshonai on that ride across Roshar just before her death. Like, they have these cool moments together.
Yeah,
but also, it's of odium to look into the future, mate. Stormfather wouldn't do that. Stormfather doesn't look into the future. That's the evil side. That's a bit sus too. He also knows that Szeth is coming, and he says it's your legacy is coming. So how does he know that? I don't know. It's a bit sus. It's real sus.
I was about to say, well, maybe Dalinar is not getting the real Stormfather, and that Gavilar did.
That would be great. I mean, that would be crazy.
But what you're saying makes a whole lot of sense.
Yeah, he's some sort of double agent thing going on. I don't know. Yeah. This is what you waited for this, guys, for us to tell you something's wrong with the Stormfather. This is the scoop right here. But yeah, look, the awkward the crappy conversation with Dalinar. He's poking at the whole dead wife situation, as you do if you want to get someone depressed. And follow the code. See you later. Then Gavilar's just stroking his own ego. Look, I'm so subtle. Look at my subtle manipulations. I am a chess master. Pretty cringe.
It's pretty cringe, bro.
Pretty cringe. Pretty cringe, Big G. Okay. And this is where I think we got to get into some Cosmere spoiler territory. I'm just going to say, oh man, Cosmere spoiler warnings are tough because like spoiler warnings in themselves are spoilers. So I'm just gonna say full Cosmere. I'm sorry, just to be safe. If you know what's coming next, we're gonna be talking about Thaidakar. If you don't want to know who Thaidakar is, skip to the next timestamp. Yeah, all right, dude. So okay, everyone's gone. We all safe? Great. Kelsier is here and is in a weird like ancestral spirit form or some shit.
Like, what is this?
Dude, it's awesome.
Because remember, I haven't read Mistborn Era 2 all the way. I need to read the last metal.
This is this is an Elantran. This is an Elantran technology. That's all you really need to know. It's an Elantris thing. I don't know if you remember, because you did read a bit of Elantris. There is like sort of like video messages, like little hologram things going on there.
I think I do remember that now. You're telling me.
Yeah, so he's using that.
So he's not even there?
No, he's not even there. He's just.
So how do we know that
he's zooming in?
Father.
Yeah, could be him being him too. But what's interesting is like Dalinar Gavilar asks the Stormfather, like, is he a radiant? And he's like, no, something close but different. So whoever the Stormfather is knows about Mistborn. I'm like, how do you know about that? How do you
Ooh.
know about that?
Ooh.
It's so weird, man.
Yeah, this
Oh,
is where it gets a little crazy, to be quite honest. And like, what is his big deal with hating? What's the dude's name? The Herald. That
Yeah,
yeah,
Ristaris is the alias of Kalak or Kelek or
yes, the
whatever
cat.
the hell from the Prelude.
So why does Kelsier want him so
But
bad?
because I made it. If you really want like a really elegant solution, people listening, check out my Kalak and the Sons of Honor video. I was cooking when this prologue came out, man. I made some good videos. But basically, he's like at the forefront. So like Kelsier is a cognitive shadow now, like all heralds are. And
Mm-hmm.
Kelsier is just trying to stay alive, but also like move around the Cosmere and like do his thing. And you basically need that's very hard to do, and Kalak is at the forefront of doing that, of like
Mm,
almost escaping their area of Shadesmar through
I
hijinks and
see.
magic and such. And he's like, I need like, I need to like the Ghost Blood seem to want to get a few things, but they want to get like Stormlight off of Roshar. And also Kelsier wants to like physically be able to go everywhere, as far as I
Yeah.
understand it. And this guy would be a great help in that. So yeah, he really wants him. And which is funny because Gavilar thinks he's just playing at being a herald. He's like, this guy. He's telling me he's a herald as if.
Yeah.
So that's that dynamic. But dude, just like the description of like the spike in his eye and the mist cloak, I'm just like, this is crazy. This is actually crazy. This is happening.
Yeah, whenever the spike through the eye thing, and I was just like, okay, we're full blown in. We're all the way in on it.
Yeah.
And I'll take this time, I guess, because like at this point now we've seen Elantrin magic,
Yeah.
and we've seen some other stuff. Does it not feel? Listen, I know you could read Stormlight without the Cosmere, but you would be missing some massive amounts of context here, right?
I think Mistborn Era 1 is what I'd recommend by this point. I was like friends that were reading Stormlight in the interim between Rhythm of War and now, I would tell to read Mistborn Era 1 before Rhythm of War. Just for like a greater Cosmere appreciation and like
Obviously,
you see,
Warbreaker, you know.
obviously like Warbreakers goes without saying, but I would say I would extend it to Mistborn. I would.
Yeah, and I would say like it's not 100% necessary, but like
No.
to understand why everyone's freaking out. I feel I don't know. There's like a social pressure if you're really into this, which is fine. Like Sanderson wants to sell books, and people are excited, and people will just say, "Well, just read the books." Like, who
Yeah.
cares, right? But there is a little bit of me, just a tad, and I'm not trying to be a downer, but
No,
I'm
I
like,
get it.
man, is this like? I wonder how it's going to pay off in Stormlight only, assuming that Brandon is sticking to his word, saying that like Stormlight will stand independent of Cosmere. Like, if I could Men in Black flash my memory and only read Stormlight, like I would like to see how this ends up getting wrapped up. So I'm not going to criticize or say you shouldn't or any of that, but I'm just very curious how this will pay off only in the sense of Stormlight. You know what I'm saying?
I'm curious too. Yeah, I feel like Thaidakar will remain a background deal, at least for now, and even in this book, I doubt we'll see him again. To be honest, maybe mentioned. Well, I don't want. It depends what Shallan's going to do actually in this book, but I think he'll just be known as the mysterious leader of the Ghost Bloods. And I'm sorry, like even if you haven't read Mistborn, if you've up to Stormlight 5, you follow Brandon on YouTube, you've seen stuff, you know what a mist cloak looks like probably, you've seen a Steel Inquisitor.
There's a lot of people out there, bro, that
Really?
like have read Stormlight and have never listened to Brandon Sanderson talk. I know that sounds crazy because like we're involved,
Yeah.
but like I got people at work who have read Stormlight and they don't even know Mistborn exists. I also have people who have read Mistborn and have no idea Stormlight Archive exists. Yeah.
I think maybe I'm just too in it.
We're in a bubble. We're in a bubble. I'm not saying that it's a small amount. It's a large amount of people, but I'm just very curious how this will pay off in Stormlight only fashion. For me personally, I would be disappointed if Thaidakar didn't have some sort of resolution within this series.
That's fair. Yeah, I mean, the now that I'm settling in on the idea, but yeah, you're right. Like you need to, but maybe I'm just trying to think of like what is the purpose. That maybe all you need to understand is that there is a greater story going on than just the shattered planes and the fused.
Yes, and I'm gonna read all the stuff. That's right. So like, I don't care, but I always think about this from, because I recommend books to people and whatnot. I'm not going to say, hey, read these 32 books. I'm not going to do that. Yeah. So I'm always just keeping an eye on that. And I've always enjoyed the fact that, Sanderson has talked about it being able to be read by itself and being fine, which it still could, even with all this. So I'm not going to get too bogged down because we don't know how it's all going to resolve anyways. But it's just something, as I read this prologue, I was like, wow, we are in full blown Cosmere stuff right now. Like, this is crazy.
And as scary and mysterious as Kelsier is in this moment, it's also like he's kind of just playing Gavilar. Like, I'm not even sure like how across he is about returning the ancient powers. I think he's just saying what he needs to say.
Oh, I think he's completely lying. And also like the fact that that Kalik comes in, like, what's stopping Kelsier from just showing up at that moment?
Well, he can't get there. That's the problem. He can only like Zoom call in. He can only FaceTime him.
But he would know that Gavilar's lying, right?
Well, I don't know. Like, I don't know.
Does it require Gavilar to pick up the phone? Like, I don't understand how that works.
Yeah, I got to refresh myself on Aeon technology, but yeah, it's a bit. He's totally playing him, but he's also a bit constrained because he can't get there. He's only got his like little goons hanging out on Roshar.
Yeah.
But he knows they were meeting. He's like, I know you're meeting Rastaris today. Prepare him and deliver him to my agents for questioning, or else. This is my ultimatum. Anyway, the Stormfather says that was something dangerous. Gavilar says a radiant. It's like, no, similar, but no. And then Gavilar starts trembling. I freaking love it. It's so good. All right, next guest in the Gavilar evening is the Heralds. The Heralds show up. Kalak and Nail rock up. And man, the stare off with Nail.
Yeah, pretty intense, huh?
That was so good. I love that. And a lot of these paragraphs were extended, potentially over-explained now that I look back at the old version compared to the new one. And like initially in the first version, Nail was like, "Oh, Gavilar Colin, it's nice to finally meet you face to face," or something. And then this one, he's just like, "Gavilar Colin," and they just freaking stare at each other. And apologies, I should say Colin because people hate that I say Colin.
And they'll be all right. They'll be fine. I know where she is hidden. Rastari's whispered where her soul is. Ba-Ado-Mishram.
Get used to saying that one because that's a big plot point in this book. Ba-Ado-Mishram. This is a huge deal
this year, right? Granter of forms, the one who could rival him with a capital H, the one we betrayed.
Yes.
What are we talking about here?
All right. So, history lesson: Ba-Ado-Mishram was an unmade who, at some point in history, was granting the listeners their forms instead of odium. And way back in time, Kalak and some Herald Radiant buddies trapped her in a gemstone, thus creating Parshman. All the forms disappeared, and it was just Parshman around. Because at that time, odium couldn't grant forms and stuff.
Now, it says the one we betrayed.
Yeah, so potentially she was on their side at one point before she became an unmade. That's what I'm gathering. Like she may have been corrupted. Because like a big plot point of what I believe is going to happen in this book is like going back to that. Like a lot of things that are mentioned in this prologue are kind of going to be explored this book, and this whole trapping her in a gemstone and the Parshendi forms and all that is going to be explored. But yeah, it's going to be nice to finally see the freaking unmade come to the forefront because they've kind of been a bit of like they've been around, they've been impacting things, but they're kind of you like the average reader probably doesn't think too much about them, to be honest.
Well, and then we go right into Void Light.
This is the Vasha. I gotta find the Vasha name drop or the scholar. Dude,
I got it for you because it's huge for what I was talking about.
Go for it.
Okay, so this is wild. He had found a way to ferry Voidspren through Shadesmar to this world using gemstones and aluminum boxes. Who would have thought the Navani's pet area of study would be so useful? And if that conniving Axwendith eluded his grasp, he'd have to do the next part without her. He had his scholar, though in truth, Gavilar was baffled by the light he was creating. Listen to this. Light that could somehow kill the Voidbringers? How had Vasher made hyphen? He thought he heard a faint crackling sound from the Stormfather. Lightning? How cute.
Interesting timing.
Tell me. Listen, bro. In this prologue, Gavilar says that Stormfather cannot read his mind. He already tested that. But then after that, we find out that Stormfather can lie to him. And as he is thinking, how had Vasher made, Stormfather has this crackling sound that interrupts this. Of course, arrogant Gavilar says, oh, lightning, how cute. I'm telling you, bro, Vasher is tied into the Stormfather thing right here.
That's a really good point.
It's either that or something Vasher is doing is against whatever this Stormfather figure is up to. There's something big here. There's no way that's an accident.
Because I'm looking at what was preceding that moment, like cutting out his thoughts. So he was talking to the Stormfather, saying, she created your parchment by accident, like talking about the Unmade. Long ago, just before the Recreants, Mishram tried to rise up and replace Odium, giving the Voidbringers powers, and then she fell. She was too small a being to uphold an entire people. All came crashing down, and so some brave Radiants trapped Mishram in a gemstone to prevent her from destroying all of Roshar. A side effect created the parchment. And then Gavilar he just starts introspecting about the light. And then, he does crack. I reckon he's reading his mind.
Vasher is mentioned.
I think you're right. I think you're right, man.
I am right. I'm so right. This is my favorite part of the prologue.
Dude, okay, Vasha, I'm sorry, but Vasha's like just creating ungodly things. He created Nightblood, and now he's like got the anti-void light. This guy is next level.
Bro, what if Stormfather is Nightblood? All right, now I've lost it. Now I've lost the plot.
Gavilar, would you like to become immortal today?
Yeah.
Dude. Okay. And like, look, Vasha's been chilling in the rest of the Stormlight. Like, he's just like training Adolin. He's like having chats with Kaladin. But here, it's like he was with Gavilar creating types of light. And you know how he's done it? Because he's like of the billionth heightening and he's got perfect pitch. So he's using the tones of Roshar and stuff to create these perfect things. I'm just like, this is nuts.
This is what I'm saying. Like the Cosmere stuff is like heavy.
Yeah, it's very heavy.
Heavy here. And
Wallbreaker is so important now, isn't it?
Bro, as soon as the name Vasher was mentioned, the Stormfather crackled.
He's crackling.
Is that an interference? I think is someone listening in? Is someone jumping on the line?
That's what I think. So. Yeah, like Wallbreaker hotline.
Yeah, whenever you talk to your friends on your house phone back in the day, and you'd hear your mom pick up, like, "Mom, give the phone. I know you're there." Yeah.
Oh my god.
What are you wearing?
There's that could that's kind of the theory though. Like there is like an interrupted Stormfather almost. The crackling, dude. Yeah, the connection's getting weird.
Not to mention, I mean, yeah, we'll get there. But Stormfather also swears he's never going to talk to another Cullen ever again. So,
yeah,
how we reconcile that?
Yeah, yeah, exactly. All right, okay. So he's like, you never challenge what I'm doing. I would have thought that returning the Voidbringers would be opposed to your very nature. Opposition is sometimes needed. The Stormfather said, "You will need someone to fight should you become champion." This champion thing seems so set in stone. I don't know. I mean, they've been talking about it
Mhm.
forever, but I'm just like, it just feels weird.
Well, and Odium's the one that offered this up,
Yeah,
right?
true,
And
but
so what
like,
I'm saying is like this would be consistent with it being Odium.
and it could be that simple that it is Odium, but I don't know. All right, dude. I want to jump to Amram arriving with his people in Taravangian because this is one of my favorite like Stormlight things of all time.
All
Occurs in
right,
this
let's do
scene.
it.
Like, I love this so much because it's so up my alley. So you probably you caught the death rattle moment, right?
Yes, I did.
All right, but it gets even more meta than that because once I made this connection, it just oh, so juicy. All right, so so he's talking to Taravangian, realizing Taravangian's, he's not just a weak old king of Carbrand, he's a bit of a gangster. And he's talking to him, um, and he's done the speech about everything that's coming. And then he goes, "It's not just a desolation we must fear," Gavilar said. "They come, the Everstorm, the Night of Sorrows." And then Taravangian's like, he goes pale and he freaks out. He's like, "Where did you hear those words?" And he goes, 10 years ago, my mother died of her tumors, frail, lying on her bed, with too many perfumes struggling to smother the stench of death. She gazed at me in her last moments." He met Gavilar's eyes, and she whispered, "I stand before him, above the world itself, and he speaks the truth. The desolation is near, the Everstorm, the night of sorrows." And then she was gone. Dude, him and Gavilar are standing above a map of Roshar. He stands above the
Oh
world
my
himself and
god!
he says that exact quote. So the death rattle comes true like in front of him. Like his
And is this what sets him off to start the death
yes.
rattle stuff?
Yeah.
Okay, all right,
Like
I'm all
that
in. That
is
is
so
awesome.
cool.
What a payoff! What a payoff, folks.
Like to see the death rattle happen before him
Oh my god, dude, that
is
is sick.
I know. That's my
And it's
favorite.
also in direct contrast with Taravangian being like, an idiot, basically, is what he's
Yeah.
saying. Gavilar's saying. But him to recognize that within that moment is a
Oh.
crazy. That's very. The perception of that's insane. What did you think of the thing whenever Gavilar said two women, if my knowledge is
Oh
correct, run
yeah.
Carbon? What is this about?
Yeah. I wasn't sure about these people who was
Who
talking
are these
about.
two women? Now we did see a Herald. We saw Herald in the library
Yeah,
in Lake
yes, we
King
did.
in Carbrand.
I gotta. Yeah, true, right?
Mm.
So let me see. Hmm, I'm trying to find it because he's talking about how Amram's all ambitious. Okay. Where are these people? A small collection of people, two men, two women. One was Amram's lieutenant, so the other one's then what's his name? Taravangian.
Yes.
And then two women from the notes, but yeah, he's just like identified two of the women from the notes. They're like not named at all. Maybe just I don't know. It just feels weird to skip over. Like this prologue's so important. Like
Mm.
just like goons of another secret society. I don't know. I
I
don't
don't know, but I was like, two women. What are you talking about?
know. Man, this is crazy because then Tyrangian's like, oh, dude, I need to save my people. This is so important. He goes to the Night Watcher. He says the thing. Then yeah, I need the compassion and foresight or whatever. And then he becomes what he is. And then the diagram, all from this moment. I love it. It's so cool.
Insanely good.
It's insane. Oh yeah. I hope we get more payoff like this. It's really, really cool.
I think it's definitely going to happen.
So next, Eshonai walks in and it cuts away. Um, I really hate like he always just thinks like, oh yeah, and then I manipulated her. Great job. It's like, mate, you scared the lights out of her, and you helped you helped put forth in motion your own death. Like, yeah, this guy. But we should go back also to I'm just going to briefly go back, like the fact that the meeting with the heralds and Nail sees the light and stuff is also what sets in motion his death as well, because he passes that info on, being like, he's got to go. This guy's got to go. Um, So all of
Wild.
these meetings, like, is him digging his own grave. He's totally fumbling the whole thing.
And that was another thing is like, we were talking about how far gone he is.
Yeah.
He has no other option now. He's so far deep in the sauce, in a rabbit hole.
Yeah.
He has to become immortal at this point.
Yeah, yeah. God, what do we say about Navani? I feel like we kind of like. Oh, it was a terrible line about love and the sun and the stars or something, and I was just like,
yeah, the sun can love the stars, but they can never be the same, or something like that, or treat him as an equal. And I was like, oh, sick.
Like this guy, you got
He's such an
Navani,
ass.
dude. Like the most amazing woman ever. All right, so they sign the treaty. He's in his chair. He's like, I like relaxing. People should relax more. Common men don't relax. Bloody idiots. Anyway, the airship is in front of him. It's the Stormfather. And Gavilar's talking about finding Urithiru. He's like, credit for him figuring that one out. Good on you. And then the Stormfather turns on him. He's like, I've made you lazy, man. I'm way too accommodating with you. And this is where it gets juicy, right? You do not reverence the Is that weird? You do not reverence the position you seek? Is that a weird word to say?
Well, isn't reverence an in-world term here, or no?
Oh, I thought it would be like you do not have reverence or something. I don't know. Maybe I'm just been talking too long. And he goes, I feel you are not the champion I need. Maybe I've been wrong all this time. And it says, you said that you were charged with this task of finding a champion by honor. That is true. I do not speak in human ways, but still, if you become a herald, you will be tortured between returns. Why is it this doesn't bother you? And then Gavilar's just like, well, I'm just going to keep respawning. Like, I don't care.
Yeah, when he's like, I'll just leave, bro. What are you, dumb?
Yeah.
Skill issue.
He's like, I'm not waiting for any queue times. I'm straight back in.
Yeah, I got the early access. I pre-ordered, dummies. I just thought this was hilarious. And this is also where the Stormfather really turns, which supports your evidence that, says he's a herald.
It's a herald, right? All right, I've been scrolling through the chapter. I'm just going to quickly look at my notes. Okay, sorry. All right, I'm going to just jump to a few points I made earlier. So remember how I talked about the stones, the monolithic stones, earlier in the chapter, like at the flashback sequence or whatever, the vision, and how all the blades are surrounded by monolithic stones. Later, when Nail is there, he's described like a monolith, which I thought supported my weird stone herald significance theory. Don't know how far I can take it, but it feels quite intentional, right? Every word's so intentional. But
what would that? But what would that? Okay, I mean, you got me here.
That's what sold me on it. I should have had that ready.
I'm locked in.
Yeah, but I don't know what it's selling me on. It's just selling me on that could be a clue to something. I don't know.
It's either a clue or we've officially lost it. One of the two.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know. We won't spend too much time on it. Okay. Did we skip over the herald dying? Has that happened yet?
Isn't that at the end?
Let me see. My notes are all over the shop.
Because doesn't Stormfather say it?
Right? Yeah, he does. He's like, oh, our herald has died. Where is it? Oh, here it is. We're just here now. All right. So they were coming, because Gavilar's like, what are the words, you bastard? What do I have to say? And then he's like, ah. Suddenly the Stormfather wavered. Lightning pulsed through his shimmering form, filling Gavilar's room with an electric glow. Blue frosted, the rugs, pure light reflecting in the glass balcony doors. That sounds kind of Stormfather-y.
Yeah, a bit. And that's the thing. There's a little mixed messaging here, man.
Yeah, a bit, but like not like we've seen. But I'm like, oh, that's kind of like a storm, I guess. I don't know. What happened? A herald. The herald has died. No, I am not ready. The oath pact. No, they mustn't see. They mustn't know. That's real sus. Who mustn't see? Who mustn't know? What do you
I mean, listen, folks, if you think that this is the real Stormfather, I got a bridge in the Dothraki Sea to sell you. Okay, that's all I'm saying.
Like, what's he on about? So he's not ready for what? He's not ready for like. Okay, so look, what we know is that Talon didn't break. We know this. So that stands to reason that Talon's in damnation in Braze, getting tortured to this day. Then a herald dies, Shallan's mom. By Shallan. This is crazy. And you do I'm not going to go through it, but if you do the math, the dates line up, which is amazing. To this exact night.
Just trust us, bro.
Yeah, to around this time. Enough that it works. Anyway, so that would mean that she's going to go to Braze. And this guy thinks that she will break. But Talon's still holding on. I don't know. I'm just like trying to understand his panic.
Well, remember, Talon also didn't break. We don't think he's the one that broke, right?
Yeah. Yes. But because what happened is like, because the thing is like the desolations and all that have begun for a different reason than the heralds breaking. Because I think all heralds have to break. So even if Shallan's mum, I love that's just what I call her now, but like even if Shallan's mum did break, Talon still didn't. Therefore, she didn't start the desolation. There's another reason.
Yes.
Anyway, because the only other time we've seen a herald die, and this was a permadeath, which was Yezrian when Moash kills him. And I don't think there was a reaction like this.
Yeah.
Maybe because things had already kicked off. But this
we're in a different period at that point.
But still, I don't know. The Oath Pact, no, they mustn't see, they mustn't know. They mustn't see, they mustn't know is very, because that's not really about like an ensuing war. That's about being caught in the act of something. Like whoever this person is. Right? It could be if this is a herald, he's like, they're gonna figure out that I've been meddling or something. I don't know. This could be Ishar freaking out, like the team's gonna know I've been chatting to a king and trying to return forms and I'm a bit nuts. Who knows? But Gavilar's like, died? You said they were already dead. They're in damnation. And then the Stormfather rippled, a face emerged in the shimmering, two eyes like holes in a storm, clouds spiraling around them and leading into the depths. You lied. Oh, Gavilar, there is so much you do not know, so much you assume, and yet the two never meet like paths to opposing cities. Those eyes seemed to pull Gavilar forward, to overwhelm him, to consume him. He saw storms, endless storms, and the world was so frail, a tiny speck of blue against an infinite canvas of black. This is very Stormfathery. The infinite canvas, you're on the small speck. Like, that's how Kaladin was first introduced to him.
Which Stormfather was Kaladin introduced to?
That's another question. That's another great question. Because maybe it's not just this scene. Maybe the whole damn time there's been two guys and we don't know it.
And we go back and read them and we realize, oh my God.
That'd be very dope if that's the case. I would actually really be happy with that. But I'd never thought that because it's all added up pretty cleanly up till this point. But look, there's been questions like people are like, what's up with the Stormfather, Sanderson? He just like giggles. He does a little George R. R. Martin style giggle, like something's up.
Oh, that's when you know something's cooking.
I'm pretty sure that's it. But look, straight after appearing like the Stormfather, we get the capitalized text.
And so what if, and I'm just guessing here, what if that crackling was like a switch over to the real Stormfather earlier or something? You know what I'm saying? Like somebody was hijacking the line and then he actually showed. I don't know. But it is really weird. The biggest fool of them all, the Stormfather said, "Goodbye, Gavilar. I have seen a glimpse of what is coming. I will not prevent it. Your legacy." Like, why? Who else talks like this?
Certainly no one I know.
Like Sanderson. Who has he written like this?
Just the Stormfather, really, and like any shard. Okay. Shards could be meddling.
It feels like a shard moment.
# shard moment. Yeah, no, I agree with you. but it feels like a storm specific. Well, I don't know, because it says, he goes, look, goodbye, Gavilar. I have seen a glimpse of what is coming. I will not prevent it. And the Stormfather is so against looking into the future, dude. As far as I remember, it's like that's a big bad guy thing. We don't do that. We don't look into the future.
I mean, I think at this point, like, odium is probably the safest bet. Cultivation's a fun theory, I think. Because what if there is a third champion thrown into this battle? You know? Kaladin
just jumps in and fall by boon. Again. Look, let me see this. It says, another good quote in this scene. Gavilar, the Stormfather said, I have seen my miscalculations, your entire religious upbringing, created from the lies of Heretium and Honor's own failings. It pointed you toward this conclusion. Like, the Stormfather wouldn't talk about Honor, like Honor's own failings.
It certainly doesn't feel like he would.
No, because he's like, he himself has that person in him. I wrote here in my notes, biggest fool of them all sounds like he's referring to the Heralds, or all being the shards. Let me look at this. He goes, what are you, Gavilar whispered hoarse. The biggest fool of them all, the Stormfather said. Who's all? Is it all 3 shards? I'm the biggest fool of all 3 shards, or I'm the biggest fool of all 10 Heralds?
It could be either one.
It's curious, isn't it?
Also, it does feel like odium, because it's like a herald has died. No, I'm not ready. The Oath Pact, no, they mustn't see, they mustn't know. Like, does he know that because of this now everything's kicked into motion, which means the Knight's Radiant can actually come back
potentially
and challenge him, possibly? You know what I mean? Like, odium seems like he wasn't ready for it.
You could read it like that.
Mm-hmm.
That's a great point. Oh man, it's juicy.
It is
real juicy.
Getting the knife and fork out, eating good.
And then Sethy boy, he rocks up in style, wearing white, looking fresh. And the coolest part about this death scene is that his, like, the storm, whoever this person is, the Stormfather is standing behind Szeth, and all of Gavilar's last words were to the Stormfather, not to Szeth. So when you reread the Way of Kings prologue, you think those two are having a conversation, but Gavilar's literally talking to the Stormfather, which is freaking sick. It's dope. So he thinks it was Thaidakar that was doing this, but it's not. He can't make out that Szeth is using radiant powers and such.
Which shows how little he knows, right?
yeah, exactly right. He can't even recognize a radiant properly, which is kind of funny. And then the Stormfather says, I did not cause this. I don't know if that helps, but I didn't do it. And then the Stormfather says, this is my failure as much as yours. If I try again, I will do it differently. I thought ... your family. I'm sorry. Why did you think his family? Why? Like, he's royal, but like, why?
And why are we back to italicized words?
Yes. I don't know what the difference is. I don't know, because sometimes I think maybe the caps is like when he goes into that full-on godly mode, like here's the weird Stormfather face, you're in this weird plane. I think they go to like the spiritual realm or something, and maybe that's when he gets the capitalized mode. Could be that simple. And when he's like in front of him, it goes italicized. And he goes, I've invited the enemy back. The end is coming, and my family, my kingdom will be destroyed without a way to fight unless. And then this is where he passes on the words to Dalinar. And then the Stormfather says, no, not him. I'm sorry, Gavilar. I made that mistake once. I will never trust your family again, which creates a huge amount of doubt for the reader because we know what happens.
Yes. I'm also just so curious about that family ... I'm so curious, dude.
Your family?
Does it have something to do with Yasna? Like,
yes, right? So many questions,
bro. It's insane.
Yeah, what, like, hot take, pretty strong start to book 5. What might
I would say an absolute heater of a start.
The man's been cooking, guys, and It's juicy.
Yeah, I'm pretty much all in right now.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
I'm all the way in. I'm also looking at the chapter 1 Kaladin and Shallan like sketch.
Oh, how hype! I'm so hyped. I'm hyped out of my mind.
God,
I'm
dude.
hyped out of my mind, man.
You kidding me?
How good does just seeing new sketches, seeing new epigraphs? I'm giddy. I'm giddy.
It's Stormlight season, baby.
Yeah, we're here, guys. And look, that's the prologue, man. I've talked about this thing for 2 years. It was awesome to get to see the new changes, but I'm happy to finally let's get into this damn book. Let's leave this palace. I want to see what's going on. Anything else, mate, from this prologue that we missed or you wanted to comment on? Or
I can just tell I'm about to go read chapters 1 and 2, I think, before bed tonight.
Hell yeah.
And you are going to be lucky enough to get to discuss them with Jake.
Yeah, that's gonna be the next part of this pod. Flaky Jakey, don't flake on me, mate, because everyone's waiting for part 2. I feel he has not earned that title whatsoever. That's way that's so
it just
mean.
sounds too good.
Yeah,
maybe it's the fake Jake.
Fake Jake. Maybe it's
like Stormfather. Yeah.
Oh damn. But look, oh god, I don't know how to wrap up an episode that's not really wrapping up.
Well, I think we just say in just a second we'll be kicking over to chapters 1 and 2, and then I will be back for chapters 3 and 4.
Beautiful. Let us know how you well, no, I don't know. I'll wrap it up later. All good. Let's jump into the next chapters, man. And we continue on with our mega episode. Jake is not a flake. He has arrived and he's ready for some wind and truth. How are you, man?
I hold the ancient oaths. I will show up to live streams when I said I would. I will show up to live streams even if someone invites me to something. I will accept that sometimes there are good reasons to miss live streams.
Wow, you're like third ideal non-flaker. That's pretty impressive.
I haven't come up when we figure out the 5th Windrunner ideal, I'll convert it to the flaking on live stream ideal.
I will flake on others instead of flaking on Christian. That's the 5th ideal.
I'll only flake on people when it's funny.
Yeah.
That's going to be the 5th ideal. I will protect people unless not protecting them is comedy.
It would have been really funny because I hyped up this big episode. Like, Jake's coming on too. It's going to be everyone. It would be pretty funny if you I was just like, oh, actually he didn't come. And
that would have been pretty funny.
Yeah. But man, we're here. First 2 chapters.
Been approved by the 5th ideal flaking. Well, I'm not a 5th ideal flaker yet, so I couldn't pull it off.
Look, there's work to be done. Look, Jimmy, I need to make fun of him while he's gone too, just to keep it even. Maybe flimsy Jimmy doesn't sound as good. I'll think of something.
Okay. Yeah, we can get back to it.
Yeah, we'll work on that in the background. But hey, man, like just before we go into these first 2 chapters, how did you find the new version of the prologue?
I told you this after I read it, but I thought it was unbelievably sick, and I'm so hyped. It might be of the 5 like Stormlight prologues. Is this my favorite? Maybe.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like 1 and 5 are my favorite. I'm a big Szeth guy. You know. The people don't know this because they're editing, but right now I have my name on StreamYard as I first knew the wind as a child, which is me hinting that I'm like, I think Szeth wrote that because I'm Mr. Truthless. But Gavilar is accidentally hilarious because he knows what's going on way more than everyone else, but all the stuff he thinks is really important is bullshit. Yeah. And he knows a bunch of stuff that's actually really important, and he's just kind of like, whatever. It's like, I guess I know that. Thaidakar just being like, bro, you were in so over your head. It was funny. Oh, could you guys hear that? That sounds the alarming thing is going on over there somewhere in the background.
Jimmy in the back room.
Jimmy's coming to attack. Guys, Jimmy's attacking me. Call the police. He heard I was gonna flake, and he came to beat me up. Does that mean he'll stop when I'm talking? Because when he sees me talking to you, maybe. Conversation with Taravangian was obviously peak.
Yep.
I hadn't read it for a long time. I remember the first time I read it, I was like, that was a really goddamn good prologue. And this time I read it, I was like, that was a really, really, really goddamn good prologue. So we've added a couple reallys.
Yeah. And like we talked about, it just felt more polished. He's improved it definitely in the new version.
Yeah. Editing works, actually.
Editing does work. And maybe I don't have a critical eye, but like the first time I read it, I was like, yeah, this seems good. But now I read it again, I'm like, much improved, definitely.
Oh yes.
But yeah, I just get that amazing feeling just reading that last scene when you think he's talking to Szeth, but he's really talking to whoever the Stormfather is behind Szeth, and you just rethink of what you read in the Way of Kings, and it just recontextualizes everything.
Also, it's just pretty awesome. Cool that like the assumption would be the most important words a man could say is like the Knight Radiant oaths. It actually seems like he's saying you have to find the Herald. There's some kind of like Herald oaths, because it seems like he's not trying to become a Radiant. He's trying to become a Herald. So is like the Radiants were outlined based on like Heralds, like they were like an idea later. So do Heralds also have like, I guess one oath they'd have to swear that Gavilar trying to get accidentally is hilarious, by the way. And we know it's a line in the Way of Kings, which means because it's Brandon, one of the Way of Kings chapter epigraphs, I'm just realizing this now, one of the Way of Kings like quotes that we've heard has to be the Herald oath, whether it's a chapter epigraph or one just read out loud.
Right.
So we gotta go do some searching.
Alternatively, though, assuming this is some guy who's not the Stormfather, maybe they're just messing with him.
He could be lying. That'd be
I kind of get
funny.
that vibe, because who like can you just become a herald like that? I don't even think so.
Yeah, that is a bit of a problem. On the other hand, like I get the feeling whoever it was did actually want Gavilar to become a herald, but like some rule was like he can't just tell him the oath, because that's just not how the oaths work. Like it felt like he was kind of rooting for him to get it, but which is why he's like, this isn't gonna work. You can't get past it. You have to actually like think it through.
Yeah, we had a few candidates. We said it could be a shard, like odium or cultivation. Then the other one was it could be Ishar or another herald.
When you said it could be a shard, I heard it could be Ishar. And I was like, Ishar's the antagonist of the second, is Odium's champion and the antagonist of the second arc of the Stormlight Archive, according to my brain. So I approve of this.
We also got to the point where we said Dalinar and Gavilar are going to be the two champions. So that also happened.
Don't say we. This was not Jimmy that came up with this.
No, this was Jimmy, actually.
This was Jimmy? Bro, Jimmy.
The man was
He died. Like
he's coming back
7.5 years ago, and he really seems to be dead.
No, he got excited because of Vasher. We've got an awakener here. You know what I mean?
We do have Vasher. So yeah, now we just, and I mean there is spiritual realm stuff going on. Like we got Teft totally talking to Kaladin, and Kaladin being like, I of course know what Teft would say in this
is definitely
situation.
Not magic.
And I'm like, no, bro, it's magic. Have you been paying attention? It's foreshadowing, Kaladin. Don't you know what author is writing this?
Honestly, if Sanderson's saying, and this was definitely not magic, I'm like, you're not getting me, mate. Not this time.
No.
I don't believe you. But okay, before we get too deep into that, let's hop into the first chapter, right?
So day one, not part one.
Right, day one. So do you think it's...
So all my part 3 losing the duel is broken. Sanderson's like, there are no parts, bitch. Yeah. He's like, I thought I could predict this novel. And Sanderson's like, you can't even predict the structure of it. So
you know what? Like there was a version of Wind and Truth ready, and then Sanderson just listens to Lost in Roshar and he's like, you know what? I'm changing this.
We're going day 1, day 2. Yeah, that's when he changed it. That's right. He had it completely written with part 1, 2, and 3. And then he saw that podcast like 2 months ago. And he was like, you know what? Screw it.
Screw these
guys.
So,
okay. The question is, does the book actually stop at day 10? Or is day 10 like halfway into the book?
Yeah, that is the question, right? Because part of me is like...
We know how many pages this book is. It's like 13, the hardcover. I think... All right. This is my idea for pool. Okay?
Okay.
If you do a prize, I will chip in for the prize.
Okay.
Whoever can predict what page on the US hardcover day 10 is. The first time where it says day 10. If it's like, if Christian is like, I will get this person something. If there's no prize, then you just get bragging rights. That's cool. You get bragging rights.
Yeah.
If Christian is like, we'll do like a copy win or something, I will pitch in for half. Unless he like goes off and is like, I've decided it's $1,000 prize. I'm not pitching $500, but
Kremlin plushie.
I think that's a fun pool, and I think we should make our predictions as well. I think the book's like 1,300 pages.
God, we could make a whole betting book for this. It's like, we could do the dress.
Jimmy's a bit of a degenerate. He'll bet on it for sure.
With his cow
there,
coin.
degenerate Jimmy, gambling Jimmy. There we go.
Yeah, there we go.
Jimmy the gambler.
Yeah, like I kind of feel like I'm also still annoyed that the Katek is broken with just Wind and Truth. So it almost feels fitting that the 5 parts will be broken with a 10-day thing. Because it's clunky if you go part 1, 10 days, and then
how funny would it be if it's not? This is copium. How funny would it be if this is the plan all along?
What
if he was like pretending he was going to have a pattern, and then Wind and Truth deliberately broke all the pattern, and for the title he knew he was going to break the pattern the entire time, and he was like pretending it was by accident, because if he so obviously broke the pattern, then everyone would expect him to break all the other patterns.
I mean, it's a pretty Sanderson kind of move.
That would be hilarious if we come back to this in like 5 months or something. And like we've read it and that's what he did, then Sanderson, you have my full respect. That's hilarious and genius. I think probably he just was trying to make it a pattern and the pattern title sucked, so he didn't go with it. But
man, Wind and Truth
Stones
is cool.
Unhallowed.
Stones Unhallowed is cool too, but I still think Knights of Wind and Truth is a badass title. Really. Okay. Like I think it might be second to Stones Unhallowed, but I like the Katek, so it's going to come first for me.
Nah, I don't care that much about the Katek. I'm not going to, especially if he's breaking other patterns.
Fair.
So anyway, day 10, page 714. That's
a bold claim.
Yeah.
I'm going to say 946.
Okay. I'm still going with my end of part 3 type thing. So I'm thinking like halfway in the book. You said 946?
Yeah, because we're getting like a 1,300 page book, right?
Yeah.
Because he'll do something
else
down
for later. So, and the comments we can remember, but I just want to all comment what mine and yours were.
All right. Well, look, I think
probably just a bragging rights pool. But imagine how cool it'd be if someone got it bang on. What if Sanderson watches this? And what if Sanderson just comments a page number on this?
If Sanderson ever comments on one of my videos, I'll die a happy man. But
imagine he just comments like,
unless he's comments, you suck.
Sanderson just comments like, I don't think it'll get to day 10.
Oh man, it's never gonna happen.
That would not be promise and payoff if it didn't get to day 10.
Let's talk about this picture, man. Before we get to the chapters, what are we looking at? What has Shallan been up to here? What's she drawing?
Yeah, I don't know what that lady is on the bottom right. That looks like Hela, the antagonist from Thor Ragnarok.
It does, doesn't it?
And then like some kind of like flying chasm type thing.
Kind of reminded me of Cheery Cheery, that kind of vibe. But it's definitely a Shadesmar thing, right?
I guess.
Yeah.
Chasm
it's some
means
sort of friend.
I'm more actually worried about what lady it is in the bottom right. Probably an unmade, I guess.
Do we think it's Ba-Ado-Mishram?
Yes.
Yeah.
That unmade. I always forget the names of the unmade. I'm like, there are 9 of them. One of them's the Thrill. One of them messes up Spren. What if... Okay, hear me out. I might be overcooking this here, okay?
All right.
This might be a well-done, dry, tough theory.
Okay.
What if the Stormfather in this prologue is the actual Stormfather, and then Stormfather got corrupted, and now we have the corrupted Spren Stormfather?
Jimmy beat you to the punch, mate. He
said this?
He did this in this very episode. He said these.
Bruh, Jimmy!
He's stealing your thunder, dude. Oh, he was cooking today. He said, what if we've had the corrupted Stormfather the whole time? And I was like, that would be great. That would be so great.
So remember the epilogue of Way of Kings when Wit is like, people only care about novelty? I just like to know I came up with this completely separately. And
You guys are talking.
Unfortunately, so
Something's going on.
now if Wit was wrong and we don't, it's not novelty over everything, then I am the person who came up with it separately, and it's equally impressive. But he just happened to record Jimmy's prologue episode first.
Oh,
Whatever.
man.
Whatever.
So it's definitely the Unmade, I'm going to call it, because Shallan just, it kind of fits the theme of her just drawing things that she's not meant to be seeing. And they're off towards this Unmade, I'm fairly sure, in this book. That's the vibe I'm getting. They're off to sort it out because she's with Rastari / Kala. Ba-Ado-Mishram's mentioned in the prologue. Obviously, things in the prologue need to be paid off. So, yeah, I reckon it's her. Interesting that she's got kind of like a carapace crown going on. So was she a listener?
Maybe it's just a fashion statement.
Yeah, maybe. Maybe there's like Thalen eyebrows and there's carapace.
I guess it is carapace. I didn't even, I just saw the weird crown thing. I don't.
Yeah.
Maybe. I mean, it could be. It's hard to tell material wise, but it definitely could be.
It is. It doesn't look like there's much separation from the crown to the like skull. So I think it is carapace. But otherwise, like, I mean, I don't know if Shallan's just been getting better at drawing, but this is definitely a step up. Looks really good. Looks amazing. I didn't think we'd get these because it's my first time doing
previews. Pretty good at drawing the entire time. That's like a pretty foundational aspect.
No, I know, but I just mean like art direction wise.
Okay.
Like if you go compare these to some of the Way of Kings ones, this looks very nice. Very nice.
So, moving on to the chapter epigraphs, can you tell me who's writing this and why is it Szeth, son, Villano, Truthless, or Shinovar?
I got full body chills when I read this. Okay, I should have known I was being watched. All my life, the signs were there. From Knights of Wind and Truth, page 1. And you are adamant that this is Szeth. Interesting.
And then the second one, I first knew the wind as a child during days before I knew dreams. What need has a child of dreams or aspirations? They live and love the life that is. That just doesn't feel like Kaladin to me. Like the dreams thing, I'm like, can we word search? When has Kaladin ever referenced dreams? It feels a little more like, I don't know, not Kaladin-y. And I'm like, all right, so what other characters are like feel associated with the wind and would know them as a child? Hey, maybe the dude who did Windrunner things and when he regained lashings in Oathbringer, it felt like returning home. And we know trained with all the lashings as a child, so would have known the wind as a child. And probably like it could be Kaladin being watched by like the Syl. Like that's who would be watching Kaladin. Or if he's the child of Tanavast, then his mom is whatever. If you want to overcook that, you can be like that. But I just think it's more likely Szeth was being watched and that we're going to find out about it in the flashbacks than Kaladin was. This is referencing like him being watched by Syl.
Yeah, look.
But I don't know. That'd be a weird way of framing Syl vaguely being there as a windsprint. Like,
and the wind is capitalized, which is always important to note. But yeah, I think you make a strong case for Szeth. I think
who are the other candidates?
The other candidates, so we've got Kaladin and we've got Szeth, and I'll spoiler tag this. I'm gonna propose a theory, and I'll spoiler tag. Skip this part if you don't want to know about the Sunlit Man, because I'm taking some info from that to help me. All right, so thinking about the Sunlit Man, I was thinking about Sigil. Because of because of Wind and Truth, like his Skybreaker and Windrunner duality, like how we know there's the dual spren thing going on. He's of both orders, which matches like the book title. So I thought of him.
Okay, that's an interesting one. This is my thing that would kind of be weird on the vibe check.
Okay.
Which is possible. We don't know that much about him as a childhood. But I get the impression he was much more scholarly than running around in the wind as a child. So it feels like, from what we know of Sigil, I feel like I first knew the wind as a child during days before I knew dreams. What need has a child of dreams or aspirations? They live and love the life that is. That seems like a weird way of describing Sigil's childhood as we know it. But I don't hate it because we also just don't know that much about Sigil's childhood, and maybe he became more scholarly at like the age of 15, and before that was like wind breath.
Yeah, I mean, I have not much else to say about him, but I'll say he's a candidate. I think Szeth is kind of the most touching option. I feel like it's going to be a really emotional arc with Szeth, similar to how Oathbringer was with Dalinar, but even to a higher degree. And I can't really imagine Kaladin like sitting down and writing a book. Whereas Szeth,
also
like,
thinking about it now, the chapter 2 epigraph especially is pretty like cheery about his childhood, which Kaladin is many things. He seems to be in a better headspace, but cheery and Kaladin just like is kind of a matter antimatter thing going on here.
Yeah, you know? But he does feel good though.
I'm feeling like 80% Szeth.
And then there's like
10% Kaladin, 10% other.
You can go real crazy, right? Because we have all these reasonable theories.
It's Leshwi.
And then, you know, dude, it could be like Taln or something, which would be sick. Or it could be like
it's Jezrien.
Yeah, but like Talon, right? He's the Windrunner, isn't he? So
no, Talon is not the Windrunner. Jezrien is the Windrunner. I forget what order Talon is. It's one of the ones we haven't gotten yet. It's I mean, obviously it's one we haven't gotten yet. He's the flashback character for his order.
Of course. God, how does
Stone something? Stoneward?
Stone Shaper? No, that's Will Shaper. All these names have eluded me. But it would be cool if it was like a Herald or something.
Okay, why is this? I always, whenever I'm looking at what the name of this on, I just want to know for Surge Binding. Okay, so he's got like cohesion and tension. Okay, a Stoneward. He's a Stoneward.
Okay, yeah. So probably not
like
him then.
The most anti-wind. Yeah, but Jezrien, Windrunner,
or
Nail
could be. Could be Nail. Could be. It's not now. It could be. Could be Tanavast. I mean, that could be cool.
Like the Shard, like the person who became, and this is so this childhood is like a pre-Dragon Seal.
Oh, we're way back.
That would be.
This is
quite wild.
POV.
Hearing all the other candidates makes me more sure that it's just Szeth.
Yeah, me too. I think I kind of wanted it to be Szeth.
Before, I don't know. Who did you think was before talking to me?
My immediate thought was, "Oh, this is Kaladin. Oh my god, it's Kaladin." The more I've sat with it, I'm warmer on Szeth. But like
I was like, "Oh crap, it's Kaladin," and then like 2 seconds later, I was like, "No, it's Szeth." And now I'm becoming more and more sure.
But he's creating doubt in my mind because of this voice that Kaladin's hearing. You know?
Yeah, Kaladin's still got some important stuff, in fairness. So it could be the thing he's hearing the voice from could be the thing that was watching him.
Either way, like honestly, I'm equally excited for either outcome if it's Kaladin or Szeth, or they've done a dual author thing, Knights of Wind and Truth, and they like share the book.
Who's wind, who's truth? Or are they both wind and truth?
Well, Kaladin's wind and
Szeth
is truth.
That's Szeth is truth?
Yeah. Right?
Okay.
Yeah.
That makes sense.
It's very cool though. How exciting is it to just have fresh like it just
this isn't like fresh. We don't have to I don't ever have to worry about like, wait, has this been answered already? Nothing has been answered already. It's awesome.
It feels so good. Okay, so chapter 1, right? We got Kaladin and Shallan. I feel like he's read a bit of both of these before. Did you remember?
We got a bit of chapter 2, I think.
Okay, because I remember the poop sprain thing.
Which
has been changed. Yeah, which was somehow, I think he said poop sprain when he read it out, and I was a bit like, don't quote me on that, but I was like, oh god, come on. And then it was dung sprain. I'm like, oh yes.
Sanderson, if you want to reclaim the spot as my favorite author from Hob, I'm not gonna lie, dropping the poop jokes. Like probably Hob has an insurmountable lead at this point.
Yeah.
But like that would help.
Yeah, I was like, the poop jokes in chapter 1 means we are going to get the darkest, chapter 2, sorry. We're going to get like the darkest book possible. If we're starting with poop jokes, it's only downhill from here in terms of like lighthearted tone.
I mean, I feel like it's literally only downhill from the first line of Kaladin felt good.
God. Did you think he's dead as soon as you read that? That's what I felt like.
No, he's living. I thought he was dead until I read Rhythm of War, and since then I'm stalwart. He's gonna retire, and he's gonna be the therapist dude who lives out in the woods for the second arc, who's gonna have a motivational, heartfelt conversation with Renarin 23% of the way into Renarin's flashback books, and it's gonna be very powerful.
Oh man, we're gonna be such crying middle-aged men, just be like, oh, Kaladin.
Your accent has randomly changed in this variation in the next.
Oh yeah, of course. Every time I get old, I turn British. It's like,
okay,
the days of Stormlight.
That would Michael Kramer. When can Michael Kramer can voice Nightblood? Can use his Nightblood voice for an older you?
Yeah, exactly. That's fine. I give permission. But hey, look. Okay, so first chapter. If we had to summarize it, it's just kind of like catching up with Kaladin, reminding you of the end of Rhythm of War, focusing a lot on his relationship with Syl, and then seeing how she's coming into her full form and using colors and just how that's developing, and cutting to Shallan and having this quite touching scene with Testament, which is really exciting to see. And just kind of both checking in on our two characters for this day and reminding you what happened and setting them up. It's pretty straightforward, but it was really nice. It feels like they're both reaching a conclusion of their like character arcs. That's what it felt like. They've come so far.
I agree. But also, I know this is totally unrelated, but it's something I forgot from earlier. Did you talk to Jamie about how the timeline works with the Herald dying in the prologue and it being Shallan's mom?
Yeah, I did, but I was just like, which would
actually mean we have 6 POVs of that day, which is also 7. There's the Fenley flashback as well.
Yes,
it actually means we have 7 point of views of that day. The only like flashback characters, because if you count the prologue as flashback characters, then we've kind of had like a bunch more flashback characters. But that we're getting close to 10 here.
It's a very important.
What was it? We already got Szeth. We can't get Szeth again. That doesn't work. I wonder.
Are you saying there might be another thing from that day? You think in this book?
I'm wondering. Another one? Can we? I mean, things come in 10. Maybe this will come in 9 to go with Odium. Can we get 9 point of views of that day? Was something happening to Kaladin on that day? And Sanderson's just going to be like later, by the way, this random flashback, same day.
It just feels like there's way too many things happening on that day that there's not some sort of magical element.
There should be like a holiday in Roshar. And you can just be like, they can pretend it's like to mourn the king.
Yeah.
But actually it's to mourn the Herald, who's the Dustbringer Herald, because Shallan killed her.
Yeah, exactly.
But actually it's going to be like there was a random Kaladin flashback where like Lirin stood up to people with the gems. And actually that's what we're celebrating on that day. But we don't tell them that.
No.
I just realized we'll probably get Szeth flash. Are we going to get Szeth flashbacks in between the Way of Kings prologue and like chapter 1 of the Way of Kings? This is the first time we can have overlap.
I don't know if there's much to say because we kind of get a lot of.
Yeah. This is the first time we've had like flashbacks that were far enough forward that we could have flashbacks that could overlap with previous events.
It would be interesting. I just don't know if there's much of Szeth we need to know that we don't already. I feel like
he recaps things after he does like in his next he recaps kind of everything that happened. So probably the To Kill prologue will be like probably the last flashback will be like right before.
Maybe when they hire him.
Yeah.
Like when they find him just outside, probably. Yeah. And then you can just read. It's going to be cool to like have just solo point of view compilations. Like read Szeth's story. I can't wait for
in 20 years to read the entirety of the Stormlight Archive, every chapter in chronological order.
That's going to be ridiculous. Well, I was talking about like compiling the prologues into one fat prologue. I reckon that would be awesome.
Well, chronological order, you're going to read them all back to back with the Venli thing, and then halfway in between them have like 3 of the prologues, and then the Shallan flashback chapter.
Oh, that would be insane to throw that in.
Just in the middle. Definitely not at the start or the end. You throw it in the middle.
You throw it in the middle, and then it cuts to, Herald has died. That would be so
that'd be so sick. Can't wait for someone to do this because there's like the like Feast for Crows, Dance with Dragons editions people make.
Yeah.
We could totally get one of those for the Stormlight, just like chronological order Stormlight.
But
just when we're
Sandra
like, I'm like, well, I've reread it 17 times. I want something new, and I'll just be like, first read all the Herald flashbacks until we get, because the first Herald flashback, you just know the first Shalash flashback is going to be like 3,800. Well, I guess first the prelude. But actually, no, there'll be flashbacks before the prelude probably because they'll be like the Herald.
Yeah.
So the first flashback will be like 12,917 years ago. And then just a bunch of Herald flashbacks, prelude, bunch more Herald flashbacks.
Yeah, I mean, they've got to be ages ago before they were insane. Otherwise,
like before the Oath Pact, presumably. Like, there's a good chance.
Yeah, so we get a brief Talon POV in Words of Radiance.
Yeah.
Do we ever get any?
We get an interlude.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so I've got a question, dude. Who's the voice in Kaladin's head? What's going on?
Well, there's two. One of them is Tef from the old spiritual realms.
Okay.
Kaladin's like, I would know what Teft would say here. Like, no, bro, it's Teft.
Okay.
The other one, I have no idea.
Okay, my mind went because I just I'm reading the prologue. Oh, I mean, that'd be awesome. But I was like, whoever this fake Stormfather is, it feels like that's a possibility.
What is the Night of Sorrows?
Yes, I've been wondering about this for ages. Whatever the Night of Sorrows is,
it was like for a long time. It was like the Everstorm comes, the true Night of Sorrows, and I was just like, oh, so that was like the end of Words of Radiance. But no,
Night of Sorrows is a whole different thing.
Yeah, Night of Sorrows is a totally different thing.
Yeah. Like there's oh god, I've theorized it about a bunch. It's been a while since I looked into it, but there's like all these Dalinar has a vision. I don't remember what book. I think it's Way of Kings, and Roshar's getting turned into dust, and there's all this dust imagery, and there's a few death rattles that refer to the world going to dust. Dust seems to be a recurrent theme that we haven't seen too much of, and I was kind of saying Night of Sorrows could be that. Also, the Night of Sorrows could be caused by a lack of stormlight. That's what I was also proposing.
Or White Walkers.
Yeah, or just simply White Walkers, right? But yeah, I don't think it's happened yet, and I think it will happen this book.
Yeah.
I hope so.
I mean, I feel like after that prologue, it has to happen this book.
Yeah, and Night of Sorrows has
0.4 from my score if it does not happen.
Okay. Night of Sorrows has a very much Child of Tanavast energy because it's only mentioned very sparingly throughout the whole series. So
but like every time it's mentioned is kind of like interesting.
Yeah, that good old attention. Yes, exactly. And I also I think it's more to do with the lack of stormlight. I also have some inkling that it could have to do with something in Shadesmar, like the sun going down, but I think that's a bit later. I don't know, because it's that good old chapter symbol, Shallan's original one and Yasna's one, with something going on in Shadesmar. But that's another story.
It's totally possible. We get to, what did I say? Page 714, day 10, chapter title, The Night of Sorrows.
Oh my God, there's going to be so many moments where I'm just flipping my lid.
I forgot to tell, what were the chapter titles? Unfamiliar Ground, the unfamiliar ground being relative happiness.
Yes.
And taking the next step, which he's going to go on a buddy cop adventure with my boy, Szeth, who first knew the wind as a child.
I love how set you are. This is the confidence we need. I'm just checking out which Herald we're looking at on the unfamiliar ground. Thingy. It's Pyla. She's the one.
No offense to Pyla, but no one cares about you.
I think she's the one we saw in the. It's confirmed that she was in the library in Carbranth. She is a Truth Watcher.
Never mind, Pyla. I apologize. I wasn't familiar. I forgot it was the Truth Watcher. I am a part of the Truth Watcher gang. I think I have a artwork of Pyla attached to the side of one of these bookshelves that no one can see. Yeah.
Oh, really?
Pyla right here that nobody can see. It came with the Way of Kings leather bound.
Oh, really? That's cool.
So
And
all
then,
the nerds get Truth Watcher.
oh, when you did, is it like the personality
Yeah,
test?
when I always get Truth Watcher.
Oh, really? And then the next chapter is Videl, who's an edge dancer. Interesting. I don't know why. Like, there's a million reasons why it could be those. Anyway, so this voice is talking to Kaladin, asking him of something. I don't know. This seems real weird. This is real strange to me.
Sudden, right?
Completely
why now?
sudden. So what's changed?
Why not before?
The tower is basically working.
Flashback. Fourth ideal.
Yeah, the armor spread. That's pretty.
He was very close to. Seemingly, something's gone. Like when he saw Tien at the end of Rhythm of War, he was very close to the spiritual realm. Maybe something like.
Yes.
Maybe him seeing that and being that connected to the spiritual realm, like opened him up to being able to hear the voice, possibly.
Yeah, I think all voices in heads in the Cosmere are a spiritual realm thing, right?
Well, I mean,
that aren't spread.
Not all of them. Mistborn.
Okay. Yes. No. Yeah, but like, okay, extremely important things. Let's just put it that way.
Well, I mean, the ones in Mistborn are pretty important.
Yeah.
Actually, like one of the most important plot points in the trilogy, really.
And look, okay, so there's his voice, and it's definitely not Syl, obviously.
No.
What do you think he's trying to get at? Well, I guess it's more in a chapter 2 thing. We'll get to that later. I was just going to mention, like, what's he going for with Syl and Kaladin in this book? Because, yeah.
It's worth noting, just because, like, it's pretty clearly not the Stormfather, but if it was the Stormfather or something Stormfather-esque, it wouldn't have called him Kaladin, because the Stormfather calls him Child of Tanavast.
Very true.
And it feels reasonably noteworthy that it knows his name. It doesn't call him Son of Honor, Child of Tanavast, Windrunner, Radiant, any of the other stuff. It's Kaladin is
like just starts with Kaladin, I need your help. I'm so sorry to ask more of you.
Okay, so we can get a list of people who would call Kaladin by his name, who are either a being or people who are dead, and who have asked lots of Kaladin already.
And it says, a storm is coming, Kaladin. I'm sorry. And then, like, that's all we get for this chapter. Do you think it could be Tien? Because we do have that.
It also says the worst storm, not just a storm.
Right.
Which feels relevant because, like, there have been some storms that I don't know if you noticed this, but they were like pretty bad.
Yeah, there's been a few.
Could it be Tien?
To ask more of you, that's crazy.
I don't feel like Tien has actually asked that much Kaladin. Kaladin's always offered it without being asked.
Yeah, you're right. Yeah, it's a doozy, isn't it? It's a massive doozy. Because then, like, your brain wants to fill in the blank, and then you go to the epigraphs and think, oh, well, naturally, this is Kaladin who's figured out who was watching him this whole time. But I don't think so. To ask more of you.
You are what I need. Let's read the rest. Okay. It's all italic, so I can skim and find it easily.
Are you in chapter 2 now? Because, like,
yes.
Okay. All right.
We're doing both chapters. I said we're just.
Yeah, that's fine. That's fine.
Is this the storm? He whispered, and Kaladin's now whispering to the thing. And it can hear him, which is interesting. And they're referring to, is this the storm that there's going to be like a bunch of battles of soldiers just like fighting for land for no reason? So basically the Heroes by Joe Abercrombie, but on a massive scale for 10 days instead of 3. And it says, is this the storm? No, the voice replied, worse. Worse, he shouted, please, the wind said, help. So it's polite, whatever it is. Deities don't tend to be that polite.
Oh, desperate.
I don't know if I can help. I don't know what I have left to give. I understand. If you can, come to me. Listen to the bondsmith. Come to me, please. Someone in Shinovar?
Yeah, that's where your mind goes to.
What if, okay, hear me out. The Shin have been like, stones are haunted for a long time. What if the stones are haunted? And the thing that haunts the stones is the thing chatting with Kaladin here. Maybe. Mayhaps. I don't know.
It's got to be like super invested to be getting into his head and chatting like this.
Let's be real. If we could really figure this out on chapter 2, like,
yeah, it wouldn't be a great book.
Yeah, like we're not going to figure this out.
But who's to stop us from trying, Jake?
Yeah, but I'm just trying to narrow the list down.
Yeah, I get you.
Like, I feel like now I'm like, it's definitely not the Stormfather. I think it's not.
Well, we know Ishar is in Shinova, right? And we know
too
that
polite to be Ishar.
Yeah, because like he was a candidate. Anyway, look, it's something we'll keep going. I'm sure he's going to show up in every Kaladin chapter.
I feel like it's got to be if he wants him to listen to the bondsmith. By the way, there are 2 bondsmiths. Gives him better directions. You know Kaladin's name. Okay, so knows Kaladin's name, but doesn't say Dalinar.
Yeah, that
says
is
the bondsmith.
Yes.
Interesting, because there's 2 bondsmiths. So, like, I mean, presumably it means Dalinar and not Navani. But like, it'd be kind of funny if we get to the end of the book.
Of course, he had to do
Navani hasn't said anything to like Navani hasn't given Kaladin instructions.
No, it's
so I
be
can't really listen to Navani. But it's interesting that it didn't say listen to Dalinar.
Okay, hello guys. This is editing Christian Kremling, and I'm listening to Jake and I fumble completely about this bondsmith thing. And as I'm editing, I'm thinking the bondsmith means Ishar, the Herald, the bondsmith, not Dalinar, not Navani. He wants Kaladin to see Ishar. I'm calling it right now. Okay, back to the episode.
I'm going to... It's hard to come up with any candidates who fit all the criteria. Because my criteria right now is... What were you going to say? Could be?
I was going to say it could be someone new, but then well, unless they're lying, but to ask more of you obviously suggests they've been around. So ignore me.
What if it's something who, like, being who's asked a lot from Kaladin, but Kaladin doesn't realize it's asked a lot from Kaladin somehow?
It's just
like
it's just rock.
there's just not that many people that it fits.
And he's not going to do time loopy stuff. It's like not Syl in the future going back.
What if it's Tux? This guy trained him to spear fight.
Good old Tux. Okay, how about this?
Tux is the person who's had the biggest impact on the plot of the Stormlight Archive relative to the page count.
How about this, Jake? Who's been watching all the main characters for so long without them knowing? I mean...
Gremlins.
Like, I'm surprised it took me this long to get there, but it's just, maybe it's a Kremling, and it's not even a voice in his, like, it's not a magical voice. It's just a Kremling in his ear. Just whispering. He hasn't got it out yet.
I actually have to go back to this. I feel Tux has to show up at some point.
Really?
It's Chekhov's spear trainer, dude. Like, do you know how many times this dude's Kaladin has think about advice Tux gave him?
Yeah, I know, but
like, I feel like he's going to be like a refugee, and Kaladin's going to be like, holy shit, it's Tux.
It's Tux. I don't know. I'm underwhelmed by that prospect.
He's going to show up and it's going to be cool.
All right.
Put it on the bingo card.
All right.
Did we make those, by the way? Did we get bingo cards?
I got a bunch of span reads of people like doing amazing work. So there's a lot. There's a lot of prototypes out there.
Can someone put running into Tux on a bingo card if you haven't already?
That's a really risky one. But look, do you want to jump to Shallan for a bit?
That makes it more impressive when it's right. Yeah, Shallan. Yeah. She does stuff as well.
She does stuff. So Testament, I'm forgetting. Testament was kind of like a little bit around in Rhythm of War, but we didn't get like hugs and handshakes and stuff, right?
Yeah, it's the Deadeye that she randomly ran into that made me go like, holy crap, she killed a Spren already.
Yeah.
When I was reading it.
Yeah.
I called that, by the way. I was like, oh my god, her next truth is going to be that she killed a Spren as a kid. I was on point.
Oh, that's awesome.
I did not call lots of other things, but so yeah, she vaguely showed up, but not to this degree.
Right. And also just like, it's really jarring hopping from like the scenes we were reading on The Wind's Pleasure with Shallan and pattern to like this pattern who's like got such eloquent things to say.
Yeah.
You kind of forget how far they've come in a relatively short amount of time.
And then he does have some pattern mannerisms. And remarkably, I'm not even a little bit dead.
Yeah.
I do not think you will kill me at all, Shallan. I'm happy about that. See, this is why I like I'm
It's
sorry.
cute.
I know I've complained about this too much, but the voice for pattern. Like,
Jake, you got to stop. You're getting wrecked in the comments.
I did.
You gotta stop.
I know. I'm sorry. But okay, you have to understand, I have had a voice for pattern in my head since I was 14. Okay? So when I read these books for the first time and I assigned pattern a voice in my head, and it's just so different. So I get like if the first way you experience it is through that. But it's one reason like it's so jarring to do Stormlight.
I mean, most things are like that. Everyone loves the first way they experience something they enjoyed. And even if you do a new good way, nothing's going to replace your first initial thing.
I wonder how the voice for Testament is. Right, Testament
there ain't no voice.
Yeah.
There ain't nothing.
Testament's dead. Oops.
just some little hugs. The hug was very sweet.
It was.
I feel I'm very invested in this plot line. The Dead Ice Bren are very sad. Like it gets me a little bit.
Yeah.
But Shallan as well, she's coming a long way. She's accepting a lot of things about her past. It feels like this is kind of like it's going to be a slow goodbye before she becomes.
I think we're going to get a less Shallan book would be my guess.
Yeah, like
it's like a more Dalinar and Kaladin book.
Yeah, like a Shallan akin to like Kaladin and Oathbringer, where there's a bit less Kaladin.
Or like I feel like if we were going through like in Rhythm War, Dalinar took a bit of a backseat.
Mm-hmm.
You know,
a big backseat. Yeah,
and I feel like Shallan could take. She's kind of had like 3 big books in a row.
You're right, 4 really, like Wave Kings.
Yeah, Wave Kings. I feel like it was like, you know, Kaladin and was clearly the main guy, but then it's like I wonder if you don't count Wave King. Like, does Shallan have more words than Kaladin in the last 3 books? It's probably pretty close.
Yeah, Rhythm of War would be interesting. I think Kaladin would still win out.
Yeah, I think she might have a lead for Oathbringer. I can probably just check this later. Whatever.
Yeah. So it feels like that's going to be part of the mission to help the Dead Eyes. Like they're talking a lot about the secret history of Roshar, the Last Desolation, the Recreants. Like, feels like we're going to wrap all that up to some degree.
Yeah. Also, it's kind of funny because I've seen people worry about this book that like we've gotten too many of the mysteries, unlike for Way of Kings when there were like so many mysteries, and they're like, I feel like we've kind of got the answers for all these. And I feel like in like 1 prologue and 2 chapters, I'm like, there's 17 new mysteries and I need answers, people.
Yeah, I'm not worried about that at all. But I'm thinking if you're mentioning this in the first chapter, like refreshing us on the Recreants and the Spren and their choice and what it did, am I going to like the Unmade who granted the listeners their forms? I think this is all like getting wrapped up, or at least we're understanding, because he's been teasing us with what really the Recreants was about for like 4 books. It's time to know.
I feel like, I mean, we kind of know.
Yeah, we kind of know, but like,
bro, this alarm went off earlier. I don't know if you guys can hear it, but an alarm from over there just started going off. It went off earlier for like, this is my 2nd stream of the day.
Oh, what a guy.
I did one with Kyle and Bem, and this was going off for like 20 minutes, and it just started again. It's driving me fucking crazy. Last time it stopped as soon as the stream ended.
Oh,
I was like, I'm going to throw a walk over there and find what's going on. It just started again. I'm going to go kill someone. Okay, for legal reasons, that was a joke.
All right, taking the next step. A purely a Kaladin chapter, and this is where we get the infamous poop jokes. Sanderson poop jokes had me a little concerned, but look, we're dealing with a toddler here. We'll pass it.
Lirin having to chase Kaladin around was funny, and I stand by that.
Oh, as a little kid?
As a child, Lirin having, and like if it was if Lirin didn't really try, Kaladin being like, you have to actually try. Like, that was funny, and I don't care what anyone says.
Yeah, that's very sweet. And I just like, I love how magical the tower is now. They got like hand gestures to like change water temperature and stuff. They can lash things for overnight. That he's just Kaladin's not sitting down; he's floating everywhere. It's very, very cool. We've come
By the
along.
way, I think my favorite line from either of these chapters is when Hasina asked, "Do you sometimes wish the world were a simpler place?" Hasina asked him that the easy answers of childhood were in truth the actual answers. Not anymore, he said, because I think the easy answers would condemn me, condemn everyone. In fact, it's very Kaladin. I like that. He's been trying to come up with. He's been asking for an objective moral standard. He's been trying to find that. Oh, the alarm stopped this time. Oh my god. Okay, I don't have to murder anyone. He's been trying to get that for like a long time, and nothing has been able to provide it. And I think accepting that any standard that rigid just like would have to condemn everyone is a huge step forward to him in terms of like just not getting in his own head to the same degree. People complain he doesn't have an arc in Oathbringer. No, he does.
Well, you get Amaram and everything.
Yeah, I mean, so he has an arc before that. He has multiple arcs in Oathbringer, but the more important one, like the first 3 parts, is he loses the ability to think of battles and wars as like us versus them. It's something he has the ability to defer. Like he still respects the people who he considers like the Parshendi when he's fighting them, but when he has the arc in Oathbringer where he takes care of like some of the Parshendi or some of the singers, not the Parshendi, whatever. And then he also is on the wall guard and they end up fighting. That's like, I think a really important part of his arc because it's one of the only like lies he's been able to tell himself that let him continue to some degree. And I think that's one of the reasons he was even more on the struggle bus after that. And I think it's an important step forward for him to say, like, just like, if there was like any black and white moral standard is going to condemn everyone and having to accept that, as well as that I can't save everyone. It's just really important. Anyway, that's me going character wise. You're like, but okay, how are Kremlings involved in this?
I'm like, no. I'm following. I'm okay. But it's making me think like, I wonder if he like, he's quote unquote retired, but he's still going with Szeth the Shinovar. Like Kaladin's a very driven guy, and I wonder in this buddy cop movie how if he's just going to be able to hold himself back and be like, I don't want to do this anymore. Do you think Sanderson will go there and be like he doesn't want to fight, and it's just going to be up to Szeth?
I think he'll fight if he has to. He didn't particularly want to fight in Rhythm of War, and then he was in a Die Hard movie.
Face off.
So, and then he didn't want to fight until he decided that today was a good day to die hard. And I think he's reached a point where he can accept that he doesn't have the ability to save everyone in a war. Like there's going to be people who fight, and he doesn't feel the need to be in I feel like one of the things, like the struggles he had in Rhythm of War when he got dismissed is he felt the need to be in every battle. Cause it's like, if he's not in a battle and someone dies he could have saved, like he failed to protect them. And that's an oath. He swore to protect everyone, even those he hates, so long as it was right. Yes. And I think one of the reasons he's now able to not go fight on the front lines and go to every battle is that, but that doesn't mean he's going to become a pacifist. Like Lirin straight up says that Kaladin's understanding of the world has outstripped his own. Lirin's understanding of the world was pacifism. So it'd kind of be weird now if it's now that Kaladin's understanding has outstripped his own, what's Kaladin going to do? Pacifism. It's no, if someone comes and hits him in the face, he's getting hit back.
He leaves with no face left. But hey, I was going to mention that quote from Lirin. Feels like a bit of a new guy, doesn't it?
I've been defending Lirin post Rhythm of War. I've been on my we don't that people are not extending the same empathy they are for our POV characters to Lirin, and that people are aware of all the shit that Kaladin's been through. So when Kaladin acts unreasonably, it's like, but he's my poor baby boy, and he deserves to be happy. But then they don't go like, hey, you know, Lirin trying to stand up to Amaran and then having both his sons taken from him, sent to war and killed was probably like bad.
Like, I mean, I can imagine.
Yeah.
Might be pretty bad, yeah.
And so yeah, I feel like people have been too harsh on Lirin, and they're not extending Lirin the same understanding that they have for characters who we have more POVs from. So I will continue to defend Lirin. He's got some issues, but you know what? Bro's doing his best.
Yeah, I mean, he is a shard, so. No.
His mom is the shard. Come on.
Of course.
Look at you. Typically going to the man has to be the shard.
Here he goes. Throwing me under the chal, as they say. But it was nice to get an I love you from Lirin to Kaladin.
Yeah.
We need this.
It was very nice. And people are forgetting that Lirin was like, you know, after you read Way of Kings, it was like, this is one of the best fantasy dads. Dude had some blips in Rhythm of War. But, and you know, he's mostly pretty cool in Oathbringer. So I don't know. I feel like, you know, can we realize we've gone too far on Lirin hate here? Please, thank you.
Yeah, let's all just take a step back. But look, Lirin's talking about training surgeons. He's really unhappy with how that's going. And Kaladin gets a bit bored. He starts talking to his new friend in his head. And Syl is a bit like, who are you talking to? And
so it's like, this is my job. What's going on?
Like, this is what I do. And look, I'm not a person who believes this, but I was kind of getting a bit of Syladin energy. Not gonna lie, bro, I don't know if he's gonna take it there.
No, stop.
I don't know, the full size thing and the leaning on the shoulder and I don't know, like kind of a lot of hints that she's becoming more and more human and real. And we saw the Spren coming into the physical realm with these experiments by Ishar at the end of the last book. I'm like, are we gonna get some sort of like Syl coming human thing? I don't know. It's just the energy I was picking up. I love their relationship. I don't know if he's going to take it to a romantic thing.
I feel like Syl becoming human, like, would be... She's pretty attached to, like, being a Spren and, like, Spren stuff. That would be pretty tragic.
But like they said, like, she doesn't feel comfortable. Like, she felt more...
Yeah, and very specifically, Kaladin is like, so do you want to be like this? And she's like, no, I just want the ability to be like this, but also want to go do Spren thing. So I think it would feel very weird, unless it was done very, very well, to have Syl be like, oh, I'm human now, so we can do the romance. Because it'd be like, I think Syl becoming human would be very traumatic to Syl. And it would kind of be weird to then have that as like a happy thing.
Yeah, that I understand. But what do you think it is about that? Is it just because he's sworn a new ideal that she could like add colors now and becomes more, has all these new tricks? Must be just right.
Becoming more human generally, just because like interacting with humans more. I don't know.
It just kind of, it makes me wonder.
Stronger than the Hail Bond.
Yeah, because like they said, like,
if
she tried to make herself the size of a mountain.
Yeah,
like, what are the limits?
The fifth ideal, can she make herself the size of a mountain?
Syl versus
Syl trying to become a mountain is a very Syl thing to do. What was her backup plan if she succeeded?
What do you mean? Like if she
like
did
that
succeed?
Feels like that would cause some issues if she was suddenly mountain sized.
She would be like the quote unquote Spren of the interlude. The one Axis the Collector.
Okay.
But yeah, anyway. Look, hey, those are the first two chapters. I don't think there's too much else to dive into. I'm just excited that there's new chapters, new things to talk about. It's just kind of like, here's our main cast. Here's the kind of setup. See you next week. You know, it's very, very short chapters too.
Oh yeah.
Real snappy.
It's going to be a lot of them in fairness, so it makes sense. I mean, I feel like the chapters are getting shorter. Like the last two have been Oathbringer, I think, had the shortest chapters because the climactic crazy ones were like chapters 119 through 121, while Rhythm of War was the ones in like the late 90s and like up to like 110.
Right. And Wave Kings has long chapters, really long chapters.
Yeah, I've been reading a lot of Malazan and Guy Gavriel K. They've tricked me into getting used to long chapters, but long chapters are wrong. Sanderson,
They're wrong.
I like Sanderson chapter like so much more.
I need like milestones. It just keeps my brain happy.
Oh, Props the Stars chapters are killing me right now. Like they're good. They're really good, but they're like super small font, like 50 pages. And I'm just like, I keep being like, I can read a little more, but I don't want to start this chapter because it's going to take like an hour to read.
But I love those like long battle chapters in Oathbringer. Like
like 2 long ass chapters per book. That's what we'll say, you know?
I think we'll get an insanely long 100-page one at least in this book.
He did it differently in Rhythm of War. Like in Oathbringer, he went with the massive chapters. In Rhythm of War, it was like a bunch of fast chapters. Dude likes to keep it varied.
Yeah, I like the paragraph POV switch. He does it so well. It's awesome.
Yeah, when the POVs start like switching between each other faster, and you're just like, oh, it's I love posting on Discord whenever people like are getting to crazy stuff in the book of like the Joker and the Dark Knight going, and here we go.
Yeah, that's exactly the feeling, isn't it? All right, guys. Well, hey, we're into Wind and Truth. I hope you enjoyed this fat episode of Lost in Roshar. It's going to be the longest one yet.
Feels like a short one for me, but it was a long one for Christian.
Yeah.
No?
Yeah, I feel like you guys are kind of switched today. It's interesting because he was coming out with all these unhinged theories and you're coming up with me with the editing curveballs that I'll have to have fun with later. But yes, guys, as always, thanks for accompanying us on this episode of Lost in Roshar. Remember, the most important chapter a man can read is the next one. We'll see you next time as we jump into Wind and Truth chapters 3 and 4. If you enjoyed this episode of the podcast, be sure to leave us a review on whichever platform you listen on. If you have feedback, questions, or theories, spam read us at lostinroshar@gmail.com. And for the love of all the Kremlings in the world, keep your safe hand covered. Thank you, Jake.
I'm waved, but